Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Chronicles from the Crypt.
Hello there, I'm Casualty Chris.
And this is Father Malone.
And we are the hosts of Chronicles from the Crypt, a twice-a-month look at the horror anthology series, Tales from the Crypt.
And on each of these podcasts, we do 2 episodes of the HBO television series Tales from the Crypt. And in between seasons, we do some other, movies and TV series, kind of at least tangentially based upon Tales from the Crypt. But right now, we're diving in. 2 more. Two more great episodes.
Yeah. Smack dab in the center of Season 4 of the show. And we're going to be talking about Season 4, Episodes 7 and 8, The New Arrival, and Showdown.
You see what I mean, Doc? It's just like that nightmare I told you about. The one I keep having where I'm petting Bambi. You gotta help me, Doc. I'm losing my mind. I can't seem to take a joke anymore. I'm in a choke. It's like the man in tonight's tale. He's a head shrinker who's about to undergo a little final analysis of his own in a paranoid parable I call The New Arrival.
So The New Arrival aired July 25th, 1992. It is directed by Peter Medak, written by Ron Finley. It stars David Warner, who's an awesome actor. It also stars Joan Severance, Zelda Rubinstein, Twiggy, and Robert Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Patrick is in this episode for like a second.
Tying back up to the last episode as far as people who showed up at the X-Files at the wrong time.
Yes.
Doggett.
Which is unfortunate because I actually really like the character of Doggett.
Yeah, no, I did too, and I like Robert Patrick as a performer.
I think the funny thing is essentially
not here,
X-Files has now forgotten about Doggett, so that's fine.
Yeah.
They brought Reyes back, which I was still shocked by. But Doggett is the forgotten character.
He is. He was a good one, too. But, what can you do?
I wish I could forget about this episode.
Me too. Not good.
Not even competent.
Yeah, and man, we've talked about Peter Medak on a couple of different platforms here. Our other podcast we do about the Twilight Zone 85. He directed Dead Woman's Shoes for that one, and yeah, man, I just think he's not good. He's made some films that people like, I guess, but I'm not a fan, and this sort of continues that trend for me here. This is not a good episode. Now, just to get into the nuts and bolts of it, this is, once again, shocking. Are you shocked? Not a Tales from the Crypt comic. This is Haunt of Fear number 25. The script was written by Otto Binder, and it was the art was by Graham Ingalls. New Arrival, the comic. Now, okay, so what's cooking? We talked about in the last episode. That was an episode where they took the sort of spine of the comic book story and then spun it off into something new, and it turned out to be better than what they had originally had and interesting. This one is wildly different than the comic. It shares almost nothing with it, and it's a shame because it's one of the most interesting not Tales from the Crypt, in this case Haunt of Fear, one of the more interesting comic stories I've had the pleasure of reading. The comic is, first of all, narrated by the house. It's the old dark house sort of off the main road, and it's just talking about itself and its history, and then a visitor shows up, and the house is the entire time narrating, saying like, oh, I wish I could warn him to go because there's nothing good in here for him. Guy shows up, he's lost, he needs a place to stay for the night, enters the house where this woman who's like 70 years old and says you can spend the night, and he keeps hearing a baby crying the entire time, and he keeps saying, you should take care of that baby, it sounds like it's in a lot of pain, and she's like, no, don't worry about it. And then, like, as the story progresses, it turns out that her baby, she's 70, her baby is a 40-year-old man who she has mentally decimated to think he is an infant, and he is dying, which is why he's crying so much. And then she now takes this stranger and, like, turns him into her new baby and starts to sort of infantilize him and turn him into her new child. It is one of the weirdest, freakiest comics that EC ever put out, and there is absolutely zero of it in the episode that we got. It's shocking that they looked at that and how weird and fucking freaky and scary it could be, and we're like, no, let's have it be a radio psychologist come to, like, you know, tend to a psychopath child, and you know, and playing it for laughs too. Like, just I don't know what, dude, I'm at a loss for this fucking episode, including having Robert Patrick in it. In that there's a thing that Tales from the Crypt does when they have this sort of bad boy character where they just put him in a stupid bandana around his head and, like, have him like, yeah, baby. Like, I don't know.
And give him a one name, like a one-word name too. Lothar.
Yeah. God almighty. It's, like, so out of left field that he's in it. It's like he adds nothing to it. Like, yeah, other than, like, giving David Warner's character this sort of a snooty position to, like, look down his nose at him as a fellow talk show host. Man, what do you think of this episode, man? I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's not good. It's not good. It's honestly, it's disappointing because, again, you've got a good actor in David Warner, you have a good actress in Zelda Rubinstein, and they're put to waste again. Like, they're completely and utterly wasted.
Yeah,
Peter Medak has done some good work. I mean, The Changeling is pretty good.
Yeah, Changeling's okay,
but this is awful.
Yeah, no suspense whatsoever. I mean, I guess the entire thing is predicated on us, like, trying to or hoping to convince us that the masked crazy child running through the house is actually Zelda Rubinstein. But
right, which I don't think is even necessary.
Like, not at all. It could have been just a scary old house that she's lured this guy to, and, you know, like, playing on his high opinion of himself. And his reputation that he can fix anybody, particularly, like, troubled children. Like, there's something to be said for that, like a tale of hubris or something. But, like, and he brings along two people just so we can have a body count.
That's what it felt like.
But, oh man, like, so bad. And then, like, what? Zelda Rubinstein, like, says, like, she's really good at tinkering, so that's going to sort of pay off when we get to that ceiling fan that's lined with blades, and I was just like, what is happening here? This is just random weirdness, and not in a good way, like, in a kind of baffling way.
Well, and that's what I don't understand is what is the point of this episode if the twist is not the twist at all, right?
Yeah, and then they give us kind of twist upon twist, so, and none of them are in any way satisfying. So it turns out it's not Zelda Rubinstein. There actually is a child, and she's in on it, and she's going to keep this guy here because she's been doing it for years. He's the new arrival, I guess. And then on top of that, the kid is dead. Why? Because love has kept it alive? Like, just an excuse. Like, I guess they were like, we haven't had an undead thing in a while, so here we go. Throw it in this one.
And it's like a fucking zombie. Like, it's a zombie, and it's not even explained. At all.
No. At all. But it's still a child, but I don't know, man. Again, I'm looking back at the comic that it's based on, which was so weird and creepy. Like, that, had they done that, it would have been great. I mean, they don't even have to have the house narrating it, even though they should have, because what a weird intro or through line for the fucking story. But, like, this one it's so random and dumb. It's not, that's the thing, like, you could be randomly weird and have it be creepy and have it not even make sense, and you've got the entire career of David Lynch. But in this case, nobody has that talent. Like, they're just we got to throw in some blood here. Let's get in a decapitation there. And how about when Twiggy, when she gets her head cut off by the thing, was it me or was there just a stagehand off camera hurling that body down? Warner? Yeah, man. Like, was somebody mad at David Warner that day? They're just like, I'm going to fucking peg him with
chunked it at him.
They sure did. I mean, I guess that was the most entertaining part of the episode for me. The stage hurling a decapitated corpse at David Warner. I guess you don't see that every day, so there's something to be said for this one.
But yeah, they chunked it at him hard because he took quite a fall down the stairs.
Yeah,
that was clearly David Warner.
Oh yeah. But it's just so stupid.
I don't understand what the point of this episode was, once again.
Yeah, and then, one of my favorite things is, they turn his chair around to show that there's a line of previous psychologists who have all failed, but, they're all still strapped in the chair, but there's, a mentor character to him who, for some reason, other than the audience needs to know that who it is, the pipe is still clutched between his skeletal teeth. What the fuck is going on here? How dumb do they think we are?
That was our friend. That was my friend. Okay, yeah, so what? Who cares?
Yeah, just dumb.
It's not good. It's just, again, to me, it's just I don't get it. It's how can these episodes all be so bad?
Yeah, right? It's baffling. There's so much talent to draw from. And all of these people have done good work. But, not here?
Not here.
I don't know.
Not anywhere close to here. Far from here.
It just seems like, it feels like a whole lot of, well, that's good enough. And we've talked about that before, and it's kind of enraging as a fan of the genre, where people are just well, we get to, I'll just cash a check and write this thing, and they go off and do it, and I don't know. It's insulting, ultimately.
We don't need to put in any effort. Got it. Understood.
Yeah. I mean, season 4? We're in season 4. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a skip from me. 100%.
Oh, skip it hard. Yeah, I mean, even, YouTube that moment where the body comes flying down the stairs at David Warner, and that's the best I can say about this particular one.
Unintentional comedy, gold.
Right. Other than that,
David Warner getting knocked down the stairs is just great. Other than that, everything else is awful.
Yeah, and there's all of the performers here have done better work elsewhere, and I highly recommend you go watch those things.
So yeah, let's move on to the next episode, Showdown.
Howdy, Pilgrim. It's die noon, and you know what that means, don't you? Means it's time for a gunfight at the OK Corral. 'Cause this tomb ain't big enough for the both of us. Which brings me to tonight's tale. It's about a gunslinger who's about to ride into his last roundup. I call this prairie poison Showdown.
So, Showdown aired August 1st, 1992, but that's kind of a misnomer.
Yeah, lies.
Lies, because this was part of the initial Two-Fisted Tales pilot that they did.
Hard to believe they didn't pick that show up.
Yeah, right? So, this is directed... So keeping that in mind, this is directed by Richard Donner, written by Frank Darabont, and it stars David Morse, Neil Giantoli, and that's kind of it for notable faces. I mean, David Morse obviously is kind of the biggest of the bunch here. And the episode is about a gunfighter who confronts his past.
Sure.
I'll tell you what, I actually like this episode a little bit.
I think it looks beautiful.
I mean, it's a little bit sappy. It's a little bit saccharine, right? I mean, the story is a little bit saccharine, but I don't think it's offensively saccharine.
No. I kind of like that lead guy. He's a character actor, does a lot of TV work. I thought he was an interesting choice for our anti-hero. I always liked David Morse. He's always weird and fun. The setting looks great. The photography is beautiful. But, in keeping with the previous episode, script's kind of all over the place. And this is a case where, too often when they do the intro, like where the Crypt Keeper pulls out the book and, is introducing the episode, we get Mike Vosberg was the artist who did all of the artwork for the covers of the Tales from the Crypt comic as we open it up to dive into the story. Too often they kind of give away the ending. In this one, they don't give away the ending because the artwork that we get is so much better than anything that actually appears in the episode. It's the lead character surrounded by what look like a dozen cowboy zombies that he's fighting, and I thought, wow, this is going to be good. Zombie Western. I'm all in.
And that is not it at all.
No, not at all. And I'd like to point out that As you said, that this was part of the pilot for Two-Fisted Tales. Now, they were attempting to dip into EC Comics' other titles with this. Now, Two-Fisted Tales, if you ever go back and read it, it's almost exclusively war stories. It's, World War II, World War I, any war, basically. They would do it. So, and if you notice in the opening credits, it says Two-Fisted Tales was, published by Al Feldstein and, EC Comics. But this is an original story. This has no basis in any of the EC tradition. There is a Two-Fisted Tales story called Showdown, which does involve a quick draw gunslinger, but this is not based on it. Frank Darabont came up with this all on his own. It's akin to John Landis's Twilight Zone segment in the Twilight Zone movie, and that he decided that he doesn't need to go back to the well of material. He's gonna do his own thing, and I don't know. I don't think it's all that successful. I think it's got some interesting stuff in it. Certainly when they sort of jump to the future and people visiting that saloon, I thought that was an interesting concept that didn't pay off at all. Was this all supposed to be a dream? It kind of felt that way, wasn't it? It was right before the moment of his death.
I thought it was supposed to be a dream.
He had some premonition, but the premonition also involved him going into a saloon and drinking some snake oil, potion to make him faster, but none of that actually happened. That was all just imagined the moment before the rest of David Morse's gang take him apart.
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand. Is I don't understand the kind of context.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the old Twilight Zone's...
Twilight Zone-y, dream sequency, unreliable...
Yeah, occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, right before the guy's neck snaps, he has a fantasy of getting away and whatever. But what he fantasizes is not all that interesting. It's, he keeps seeing people in this saloon that he had previously gunned down, but none of it has happened. I don't know. I would hope that right before the moment of my death, I imagine something fucking awesome.
Drinking snake oil?
Yeah, something more than that.
Yeah, I don't understand at all the context and the framing device that the episode uses. It's not bad.
Well, we keep coming back to that shot, which is admittedly a beautiful shot of the sort of all the cowboys riding out of the sunset or away from the sunrise, or I don't know. Are they supposed to be the Ghost Riders in the sky there or something? Once
in the end of the episode, that pretty much confirms that.
Right. But, I don't know. It just seems like a mess. And, why, when they were, because if you look at the other stories that they did for Two-Fisted Tales for their pilot, Yellow has not a hint of supernatural element, nor did King of the Road. I think that's the Brad Pitt one.
Right.
Yeah, but so I'm not sure why they even went to a supernatural thing when they had an entire series about supernatural occurrences. It feels a little off. Feels like maybe they should have just made this as a Tales from the Crypt episode and amped up all of that sort of supernatural business. Again, certainly the promise of a zombie gunfight was tantalizing to me. Like that, where was that? Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that would have been more fun. I mean, that would have just been giving you, Western zombie mayhem.
Would have been great.
Well, yeah, but that goes without saying. But I mean, again, if you're talking about not understanding why this episode went supernatural and none of the other ones have to begin with, that would be even worse, right?
Well, it would have been worse if they hadn't gone supernatural.
No, I'm saying is if the issue, one of the issues here is none of the other episodes from Two Fisted Tales go supernatural, and this one goes supernatural, which makes it feel out of place. Wouldn't it not have been worse if it went even more supernatural by having it be actual zombies?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but they're gonna do it anyway. Might as well. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Look, they weren't going for that sort of horror tone. They were kind of going for eerie kind of creepiness. But I don't think it works. I don't think it works as a Two-Fisted Tale, and it definitely does not work as a Tales from the Crypt episode. It's a cut above some of the ones we're getting. I never felt insulted by it. And I was along for the ride. It's just when you get to your destination, it's okay, sure, look good.
Well, there is that. It is a very good looking episode, and I kind of like the story at the end where it's in death it kind of equalizes all of us, and they're kind of reminiscing there at the end about how I was fast and you were faster, but yeah,
I did like that as well. Yeah, I mean, there was something to be said for that, these sort of rivals in life become sort of friends in the afterlife. That's kind of cool. But, how we got there is just so odd. And while I did like the sort of flash forward to where they're given a tour of this place and talking about these characters, it just doesn't feel like it added to anything. It seems like it could have been that from the get-go. As soon as he gets to the town, suddenly he doesn't understand why he can't be seen, and these people are talking, and they're dressed in these weird clothes, and, there was something good here. It just felt like there were too many ideas, maybe, and they kind of squandered the promise of what it could have been.
I agree 100%. I feel like there was so much that, just felt like a missed opportunity. And they went kind of what I would consider to be the generic route, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally. I mean, ultimately, what we got was just another kind of Western tale of the posse and the gunslinger, and the sort of promise of this ghostly aspect was where they needed to go. I don't even need the zombies, but somehow make it weirder or more ghostly or something. It just, I don't know. And it all boils down to it was all just in his head. But,
Isn't that fun?
So, oh man.
It's all just in his head.
And it was all a dream. Oh, okay. Cool. I'm glad you wasted everyone's time with your dream sequence.
Isn't that fun? I kind of hate that. It makes it feel like everything we've done up until this point doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of time in that fantasy sequence with these characters. And, it wasn't we were learning all that much about the guy. We knew he was a killer, and, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't want to not recommend it because I think it's pretty kind of cool the way it looks and the performances, but at the same time, it doesn't really hang together, so...
Not enough. I mean, it hangs together. I just don't know if it hangs together. I don't know if it hangs together enough for me to justify suggesting people watch it.
Yeah, I mean, the Zemeckis episode Yellow, while cut from the sort of same Two-Fisted Tales cloth, felt more of a piece with Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, but I like this more than Yellow.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one.
I like this better than Yellow because I think Yellow is just too fucking long.
Yeah, no, well, that's true. Yeah, we discussed that when we talked about that episode. If it had been
Yellow is just, oh dear, I mean, it's too long.
Yeah, they could have cut at least half of that one out, and it would have been really impactful.
But I'm gonna suggest you watch this episode.
Very well. I'm going to say skip it.
Well, there you go.
I don't think it's a Tales from the Crypt episode, and I don't think it glances enough in the direction. There's no sort of at least ironic twist, which is kind of what I liked about Yellow. When are we seeing is King of the Road this season as well?
Yeah, King of the Road's in like 2 episodes.
All right, so we're gonna close out the lamented attempt at trying to create another series soon, which is good because they don't feel ultimately in line with the Tales from the Crypt episodes. Like
no, they don't.
They're just not.
They stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, they really do. Like, if you were to show me this episode and go, what anthology series is this from? I think the last one I would say was Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, I would agree. As much as I like it, as much as I am suggesting it, I would still agree that, yeah, it definitely is not a Tales from the Crypt episode. But I think it's actually more of a Tales from the Crypt episode than Yellow is.
Disagree.
Because this actually has some supernatural aspect to it.
True. I'll give it that. But Yellow's better. Yellow has Lance Henriksen, and that trumps everything.
Lance Henriksen is good. I will not disagree with you on that.
He's so good in that. Blow the whistle.
I mean, it's good. That episode is great. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to argue that, obviously. That episode is just... It's a great episode, but yeah. Speaking of great episodes, on the next episode of Chronicles from the Crypt, we're going to be talking about episode 9 and 10 of season 4, King of the Road, and Maniac at Large. And Maniac at Large is... Yep. Blythe Danner.
The Blythe Danner episode. I have no recollection of it. I'm curious.
I'm sorry.
Oh, shit. Oh, good.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Awesome.
But on the next episode, we do get to close out the Two-Fisted Tales side of Tales from the Crypt. So there's that.
Yeah, so that's something.
So until then, where can people find you, Father Malone?
You can always catch me on my YouTube channel, Ot5 Films. Check out my series You've Never Seen about movies that maybe have fallen by the wayside and need a little bit of love. You can also hear me over on Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast I do with you and Mr. Mike White. And I'm occasionally a guest on the Culture Cast. That's yours, You do that show.
I do that show. I do that show. Sometimes you're on it. And I'm always happy to have you on it to talk about weird movies, or just movies in general. As for myself, you can find me on the Culture Cast. You can find me on the One Season Show, where I talk about shows that only lasted one season with my friend Jess Byard. Sometimes I'm also on the Projection Biz podcast, giving our friend Mike White a little love. And we're also starting up a Barney Miller podcast, so there is that as well. This podcast can be found over at chroniclesftc.com, on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, any of those places you find podcasts. You can find this podcast, even Spotify, and chroniclesftc.com and at chroniclesftc on Twitter. Big thanks, as always, to John Kassir, and we'll catch you on the next episode.